Soldiers, sailors, airmen and women enlist in the armed forces for many reasons, including a sense of duty, patriotism, the adventure, travel, and adrenaline. When service members are injured or wounded and can no longer perform their military duties, they quickly find themselves removed from their team, no longer serving the purpose for which they trained.
I came back from Afghanistan in 2013, and it was kind of a trial and error of finding out, after the military, what's next in life.
Motorsports offers an opportunity to regain that sense of identity within a safe, fast-paced team environment, providing a renewed sense of purpose. Like in the military, in motorsports, the goal is in accomplishing the mission, winning as a team, collectively celebrating the successes and supporting teammates through the losses. Operation Motorsport also offers virtual engagements and recovery opportunities through an iRacing league, engaging beneficiaries in a safe, competitive environment from the comfort and safety of their home. Operation Motorsport believes in the power of team, identity, and purpose.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Podium Esports coverage of the 8th and final round of the 4th season of Operation E Motorsport iRacing League, powered by RECARO, live from iRacing's virtual Sebring International Raceway in Sebring, Florida. I'm your host, Richard Whiteford, joined tonight by my colleague in the booth, Ray Richer, and our producer, of course, this evening is the Simi Award-winning Ryan Bauer. Ryan is using cameras by the great Dougie Beard. The series, of course, is brought to you by RECARO Automotive. Whether it's on track or iRacing, RECARO Automotive is all about making the driving safer, more comfortable, and more controlled. A driving experience that you could really feel. RECARO Automotive puts people first every time. An ergonomic sitting position means a comfortable position. With perfect seat contours and innovative features that support your body, RECARO Automotive makes the driving fun. Be it on the road or on the racetrack, RECARO Automotive performance seats are more than just a set of components. They exude innovation, quality, premium materials, craftsmanship, and a genuine passion for cars. For more information, visit their website at www.recaro-automotive.com. That is recaro-automotive.com. RECARO Automotive is proud to support Operation E Motorsports iRacing. Tonight's presenting partner, of course, is Sebring Raceway for the broadcast, and stay tuned for a special interview with Wayne Estes, the president of Sebring Raceway. Very honoured to have him chat to us during the race tonight. Of course, don't forget you can tune in to the broadcast on the Operation Motorsport YouTube channel, their Facebook page, and both Podium's Facebook page as well, and the Twitch channel for Operation Motorsports. That's Op Motorsports. Go check it out, of course, if you're not watching. If you are watching, you probably already have. to problem solve there. Well, tonight, Ray, we've got to learn a little bit about Sebring. If you guys tell us.
Yeah, Sebring tonight, afternoon or evening, everybody that is joining us tonight. Located in Sebring, Florida, 3.7 miles. Sebring International Raceway is America's oldest road racing circuit, originating from a World War II military base. It hosted its first 12-hour classic in 1952. Founder Alec Ullman built Sebring into one of America's greatest racing traditions, second only by Le Mans in the international sports car racing prestige. Tonight, 3.7 miles with these guys. Total of about, 17 turns here. And each one of them's got a little bit of a name to itself. And as you can see, the layout down there, Rachel, it actually used to be, like I said, an old World War II military base. But again, we built this back in 1950, first race in 1952. And tonight, these guys get to take and tackle this left and right road course here in Sebring, Florida.
They certainly do, of course, and this place used to house B-17 bombers back in the Second World War. Of course, it closed its doors after the need for training bases was no longer quite as high, and, well, battle returned to the track, or to the concrete here, I should say, at Sebring, much later, of course, which was when we have the racing come here. And this place has hosted some of the most phenomenal racing in sports car history. It also featured in the Ford versus Ferrari movie, of course, being, well, Sebring. It's where one of the races took place, as well as Daytona featured in that film. This track has a long storied history in motor racing, especially as mentioned there on the sports car side, the Sebring 12-hour being one of those iconic races. And this track, Ray, it's just, obviously you're an oval guy, but whilst this is a road circuit to you, would it be for me to say to you that it is in fact often considered more akin to a street course?
Well, actually, looking at the layout, I mean, even the walls, to me, kind of... I've never actually been to this place or seen this place for the first time tonight, and it's kind of embarrassing to say so. Obviously, been in the iRacing service for about 5 years myself now, but I've seen many races here on iRacing, and the layout is actually... They got tight corners, they got a hairpin, they've got long straights, and all being said, yes, it's very laid out to a point where, well, I'm kind of learning things myself tonight. It's kind of embarrassing to say that, but nonetheless, these guys are going to show me up with their left and right hand turns. Now, usually I'm used to, with stock cars, mostly like Watkins Glen and Sonoma type layout, but this has more turns than I've ever seen on a road course or ever dealt with personally here. So yeah, the layout is quite large. Excuse the ignorance, I'm still kind of learning, so.
Yeah, this is road course racing. We do often also turn right. Although they're not, stock car racing doesn't do it, but these cars, would you believe, are built to turn right as well?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, it takes a while to set up the cars, obviously, for stock cars, and when they get them up to Watkins Glen is the only one they actually have them on the opposite side for pitting, because obviously the way the the pit road is all set up, and that actually looks like the same exact setup here. So in other words, they'll go over the left-hand side of the car first, change the tires, go to the right, and in most of the oval races I'm used to, it's the opposite way around. But these cars are going to be quite interesting to show to this evening. Excuse me.
Oh, they will indeed. Well, we've got a lot of colours here on our race ticker here during this qualifying session. Let's have a quick look at what those mean.
Well, I do know that... Go ahead, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I do know that there's GT cars, and that looks like right now being led by Matt Sutherman, and he's only got about 2 minutes in the second round here, but obviously the prototype cars, which there looks to be 7 of them tonight, actually 8 of them, excuse me. And I know they're broke up into different divisions, but obviously they're faster. Like if you've ever seen the Daytona 24, it's the same type of setup. Obviously, you're going to have your prototypes a little bit faster and get around the GT cars, which makes it awful interesting when you mix classes like this.
Really does, of course. But as we have here, as you can see on your screens, the LMP2 cars are prototypes tonight, as mentioned by Ray. They are competition license holders, both past and present, and iRacers with a road rating above 1900. Then we have our 2 GT3 classes. They are the same car, but 2 different classes. We have Open, the red cars. Those are open to active duty service members, veterans, and Operation Motorsports supporters. Then we have the green. These are the guys we're out here for today. This is the beneficiaries. They are the people Operation Motorsport is helping with their program of Incite, Excite, Empower, and Engage. By the way, this is our unofficial championship, and it is coming to a head this time. Last season, of course, it was a duel between the US Marine Corps and the US Army, between Hunter Reeve and John May, who basically swapped winning rounds. It was pretty equal, though we had Brock Hogan actually win a round during that one. In fact, He's going to have an infantry spotlight later today, so stay tuned for that one. This season, though, we are one round off, this being a clean sweep for Mr. Golden Broom, Matt Smotherman, representing the US Army. They are absolutely forging away here. 30 points to the nearest, next being the Air Force with 10, if we're being serious. I gave the Coast Guard extra points for the liveries that showed up, so we'll just count the silly points, of course, apart from the Space Forces, who deserve all their minus points, although we are on the Space Coast here, so we're in their home turf, I guess you'd call it. Either way, 30 points on the board for the Army. Navy on 1, Air Force 10, Marine Corps on 2, after John May finally actually got to get himself a podium 2 races ago, so that was a big one for him. But as our timing is running down here, about 2 minutes 30 on the clock as we get ourselves ready for this race here. Looking good so far, what I say, Ray. Smotherman, of course, he's on pole, of course. Bradley Beamon, though, has out-qualified Mason Smotherman in the open class. That will be interesting. We have Adam Poppenhouse just behind there, Hunter Reeve, John Winker, and it's a little bit further back there towards Philip Chartier, so no John May, unfortunately, but we have got a real battle on our hands.
Yeah, it took me a little bit to kind of see the breakdown of the B's and the O's, obviously, as we were talking. And you'll see that alongside the red with the O's, obviously, the open and the charter being the B's, and that will mix up the GT3 cars tonight. So, again, prototype's pretty easy, and as we're looking at that right now, Brandon Ergic is actually on the point tonight. 148.008 is what he put in for a time, but only about 28.280 off of into second place. 1 minute 48.28 for Tyler Guamet.
Yeah, certainly is. Those guys are putting some good numbers in at the moment. That's Brandon Egachik and Tyler Guamet there, putting 1 and 2 in the prototype. So Chris Walsh, Martin Wallace, Dave Hines there behind them, and Jason McSparron rounding out your prototype field as it stands. Those positions are looking pretty spec at the moment, as we've seen this season. Chris Walsh, though, a little bit further back. We'll have to see what he can pull this one. Dave Hines as well, not as quick as he can be sometimes. We'll keep our eyes on how that one goes. Wallace had a great showing last week, so we'll keep our eyes on him as well. Prototype field have been very busy so far. Matt Smotherman and Mason Smotherman, they've been really potent today. And of course, we do have Branning and Brian Knight in the USO NC 1 and 2 cars. As always, Papa Knight is out to have some fun and try and beat his son again. And we'll keep that Papa Knight joke going as long as this show will have us, and as long as they turn up. He doesn't know why we do it. We don't know why we do it, but it's funny, so we keep doing it.
Just under a minute to go for qualifying. At least, let's see, 40 seconds left until we take and grid the field up tonight. For tonight's 1 hour timed race, by the way. Unlimited laps to that point. We'll see who can get ahead. Obviously, your GT's on the point right now with the B of Matt Smotherton. He just turned in another time of 2 minutes, 1 second, 6:16. Shown 8th overall, but first time in the GT3 cars. Again, right below him in the OWA Open, Brad Beeman in 2 minutes and 1 second, 9.961. Again, showing 9th, but he will start on the point for the Open for the O's. So
he certainly will, and we'll have a look at what those times are as soon as we get this down here to our last seconds of qualifying. These positions are good. Oh, Chris Walsh with a late lap there. Also snatch, it seems, the pole position here for your prototypes with a 1 minute 47.848, nearly a full 10th faster than Tyler Guillemette.
white flag in the air for these guys. Time to get their last minute laps in right now. On screen, GT car of Jake Sternbreck in the O's. He'll take it down into the stretch. I got to get used to these corners again, Rachel. Please excuse me a little bit. As we go underneath the bridge here, he's pounding it down to the inside, trying to hold that inside. Again, with the road courses, I do know the tire you get, but as he takes the tire you get, the more you cut off the time short in the track. He'll come down to the start-finish line, and he'll leave his time in there. Unfortunately, not moving up anywhere at this point, but we still got a few more guys to go. Just over a minute now until qualifying's done. We'll get your grid up here shortly.
We will indeed, of course, and let's just do another little road and oval comparison language thing here. What happens when you get tight in a corner?
Basically, when you get tight in a corner, the car wants to take and kind of push. Obviously, you can't get back to the throttle as much, and sometimes when you do it, just wants to go up towards the fence. It's the same thing in road course racing, but obviously the setups on these are equal on either side most of the time for right and left-hand turns, whereas like a stock car or an oval racing, they'll set up just one side with a little bit more camber on the right front, so as the tire leans down, it grabs more rubber onto the track, and as you go tighter into the corner, it takes a little bit to warm up the tires to get more grip out of them. But as you get tight into the corner, there's a good chance that you take and have the rear end come around, and obviously that's a loose condition. So depends on your arc into the corner as well. With qualifying with these guys with fresh tires and going back to your oval a little bit with fresh tires as well. Oh, we have somebody into the fence, by the way, as I was talking there. Didn't see who the name was on that car. Brian Winkler right now, P11th there in the GT3s. But anyways, back to the task at hand. With usually about 2 laps in qualifying on an oval track, you kind of hammer out fresh tires, get them warmed up as quick as you can, get it low as you can, get it tight into the corner, not step out the rear end with too much throttle. And you're doing the same thing, but you're doing that 17 times around this course with 17 different turns. So again, major difference between 4 turns on an oval and obviously right and lefts with 17 turns here at Sebring.
Certainly are. Well, let's take a look at our starting order now. Those cars are off the track here from qualifying. We'll get them all on the board for you here. This final last seconds, no change expected, so we'll run down your order. Chris Walsh starts the field out for the prototypes in your pro class with Tyler Guillemette behind him. Brandon Egerchik in the 3rd spot with Martin Wallace in 4th. Dave Hines bringing home the beans in 5th place, with Rodney Campbell in 6th. Jason McSparron in 7th. Leading your beneficiaries, there's Matt Smotherman behind him. Bradley Beamon from the open class leading the way for them, with Mason Smotherman in 2nd. And going on to our next set of cars, we have Taylor Parsons in the open class in 11th overall. 12th being Hunter Reed from the beneficiaries, in 3rd technically for them, just ahead of Adam Poppenhaus in 4th for your beneficiary class. And we have Jake Steinbrink from the open class, Tyler Reed from the open class, John Winker from the beneficiaries with Jay Gleason, Brian Winker. I think it's going to be Branding Knight there in the USO 1 in 19th. Rick Haslett, 20th there from the open class. And we have Brian Knight, Papa Knight himself there in the USO NC2. And Philip Chartier at the rear there from our beneficiary class in last place. Well, we're on the grid here, ready to do a full pace lap around here. So this will be something you'll share there with the the oval racing Ray. These guys will do a full lap around here behind that safety car, or pace car as you want to call it. And then it will release them to go racing. So we'll get to have a real good impression of how this track will drive. A lot of people on it, although turn 1's going to be a lot faster when they're on their own.
Yeah, I'm actually used to pace laps here, of course, especially at Watkins Glen. You take a Watkins Glen lap with a stock car, probably talking 1 minute and 14. Of course, these guys just over 2 minutes for the longest. So pace lap here, I'm guessing, would probably be around about 3.5 to 4 minutes. I was hoping it was a standing start, but I understand completely exactly how all this works. With that being said, safety car is absolutely fine, and we got the grid full, ready to take and get around this space and get things rolling.
We are indeed. That car is going to be heading off in just a second's time to lead us away here for this final round. An hour-long race tonight. It's our mini endurance event here for Operation E Motorsports, and we'll get to see these guys put it to the metal. And this will bring the prototypes into far greater contention, Ray. We're expecting, of course, the lap during the normal course of the race here, but this is going to force all the cars here to hit pit road at some point for a stop. That's going to change things somewhat for these drivers, meaning they're going to have to be considerate of their fuel in these vehicles. They also have to worry about now lapping being far more prevalent, as they'll have such a greater difference, of course, between speed over the duration of a full-length race. So we'll see traffic be a much bigger factor. This track is not wide.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. You might be able to fit like 3 cars wide in a couple of the corners. By the way, one other thing you got to be worried about too with these guys, they have an incident count or penalty limit, and it shows incident count at every 22x, which actually doesn't, it seems like a lot, but I'll tell you what, in a road course, when you're beating and banging side by side with these guys, or sometimes you go off in the grass, you lose a little bit of a control, or somebody gets in the door with you or something like that, or even 3 wide is possible with these guys. And as they add up, you'll get a penalty once you hit 22x. But again, just keeping an eye on different things with these guys getting their pace lap in. Again, about a half a lap, and let them go next time around.
I'm hoping we don't have any 3 wide or beating or banging. That's not a very road course thing to do.
That's a stock car thing.
I mean, you see it sometimes in VS Supercars. I would not like to see it in GT cars. They're a little bit more fragile, I think, than stock cars. And if the prototypes are doing it, then we're all in trouble.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I mean, it doesn't become a good race like that. I've never liked to bump and run with any type of racing as far as I'm concerned. And with these guys, I think we're going to see a killer show this evening. Again, this is my first time with these guys, and I appreciate you guys having me on board tonight. We'll learn as we go along with you, and I'll do my best to take and call out anything I see here on the racetrack.
Hopefully we'll have a good time, of course, and look forward to seeing that on the track. Oh, wow. Ready to go racing here at Sebring for Operation Motorsport here. And it's our final round. We're pretty sure who's going to win this round for the beneficiaries, but he still could win the Golden Broom here. He may not. Someone could beat him. He's like locked in for the season, of course, in terms of points. So our champion will be, of course, spoiler alert, Matt Smotherman, because nobody else has won this season. But he may not take the clean sweep here. So that is still at play. That is still open. Can the likes of Hunter Reeve or Adam Poppenhaus bring it to him here to try and take this one off our champion-elect, shall we call him? Now, it's going to be a little bit of time left before we see whether this one will play out, but there's going to be a lot of racing between now and then to show us, hopefully, a fantastic run tonight. And don't forget, during the racing, once we get this thing going, we'll be playing you the interview we have with the president of Sebring Raceway, this storied, phenomenal racetrack, as I think you got your 3 wide there, right?
That's what I'm looking at over here. Yes, sir. Ma'am, sorry. I'm learning everything tonight. Safety car lights are off. We're going to come back around here this time. Ready to go green again, watching that 84 of Matt Smotherton. They're separated out between the prototypes and the GT. This gives them a little bit of a cushion, obviously, as they take off. Now, they don't tighten up, I would assume, here. Rachel, am I incorrect in saying that?
Oh, they do.
Okay, just wanted to make sure if that was the case. I'm talking about the GTs getting up with the prototypes. I just thought for sure they left the space there.
That gap stays, yes. No,
I got you. That's
tighten up together individually. Sorry, then they'll both run to take off separately.
No worries at all.
Here we go. Coming under the corner. On through Sunset Bend they'll come. Beautiful sun right behind us. Exactly what we wanted there. Perfect shot. Look at that. Those Dougie Beard cameras doing exactly what we want as the green flag will wave. Barney gives it everything. And here we go. The field is rolling at Sebring for round 8 of the Operation Motorsport race here at Sebring. There's a big dive in for the prototypes coming through. Turn number 1, the GT cars behind them also coming in for a move here. Some guys starting a little bit further back. Going to be coming through now. Big turn through 1 and 2 here. Diving into this twisty first section here through this infield section before we drop down to Big Bend. All the way down to the hairpin here. The racing, probably the tightest it will be at this stage of the race. And the prototypes is going through nicely, one by one. No one in any trouble, but a 5 for the lead already. It's Guillemette and Walsh. Guillemette seems to be through. I think Walsh might choose to defend here. I think Walsh has managed to hold it. He will. Walsh defends to the inside there. Coming through Fangio now. And it's tight there. 1-2. Guillemette, Walsh. No one giving an inch here. They're racing like this is the last lap already.
Yeah, that was right off the bat. As I was watching Guillemette and Walsh, Guillemette took it right off the bat. Walsh went to the outside. He got into the dirt a little bit right off of turn 1. But as they fought through, it looks like Walsh has finally fell into place in second there. But he gets up on Guillemotte's rear end just a little bit in that right-hand turn off the corner. Guillemotte's got it, the 104 car. He's still got the lead about 5 car lengths back, still gaining actually a little bit of car lengths between him and second place of Guillemette. They go down the long stretch into the next right-hand turn, which looks like here to the right. Guillemette a little bit wide on that time, but look at Ergnick and the 86. He's way back. There's actually a battle going on in the prototypes for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, right close together.
They are indeed. Our GT cars have had some trouble so far. From what we've seen, not been the best day for them as they're rolling down here almost straight away. The GT cars have been absolutely pounding on each other. It's Matt Smotherman leading the way here. We had such a big blast from the prototypes. We didn't really cover these guys for that first part of the lap, but coming down the Ullman Straight on board there with Hunter Reeve here. Looking forward towards the 89 machine of Mason Smotherman. Different class, but brother of his enemy. Just as good a target to pass. Coming under the archway here we have at Sunset Bend, and these GT cars are not giving an inch yet. This is still on. We got a car, got a little bit loose, I think, through the infield there. We saw a big puff of smoke. Coming up towards turn number 1 here. Going to get this race in good order so far. Hopefully everyone tuning in at home is having a great night tonight. You're in for a good one of racing if you've just joined us. The race is on here at Sebring International Raceway, and we are ready for a night of fantastic battling.
And we have one car already on pit road. That's the 57 prototype of Dave Heinz. Looks like he's going to take on fuel and tires early, according to away from the other classes anyways at this point. But he is going to be all alone coming back out, but back up front in the GT3 class. Matt Smotherton leads the way with a big lead between him and Beeman. Beeman being a different class, as we were talking about before in the 92. But the second place of number 12 of Poppenhaus is under fire from another second class of Mason Smotherman, obviously relation of Matt Smotherman, here in the 89 machine.
Certainly is. I'm not sure whether Hines was intentionally taking that. I believe he is damaged, so he's on pit road from contact. I wonder what happened to him.
Yeah, just
what happened to Dave Hines there, because that car is, oh, contact through sunset. I believe it might have been a, oh, he self-spin. Yep, self-spin, came round and got, oh, big rear end contact by another prototype. That was, I believe, going to be the 119 of Jason McSparron, who came through, nowhere to go, contacted the car there of Mr. Beans himself.
Taking a look, by the way, at Jason McSparron's car just to be safe. Don't see any damage to that 119 machine, but he is now getting around the USO car of one of the GT3s, mixing it up here, obviously, as they get around for their second lap of the evening. The 119, though, knocking off the GT class one by one as he comes up through. Right now, he's running, let me see, 6th overall. Sixth overall in the class of the prototypes. Chris Walsh still leads all of them by at least 10 car lengths to the second of the number 5 of Goodmith.
Absolutely are, of course. And no, I think there's no damage on the car there of McSparron because he went straight into pit road from the contact. He was lucky. It seems as though Hines had to tow despite being wrecked right at the exit of pit road, unfortunately for him there. But this racing is still very much on for us tonight. These guys are all over each other. We've got Walsh, Clement, and Egachik up there at the front of the prototypes for the GT cars. It's Smotherman, Beeman, Poppenhouse, and Smotherman, with Reeve bringing up right behind here. These guys are on top of each other. There's only just about over a second between Smotherman and Beeman right now, so this battle is very much open for grabs.
Yeah, I mean, they're out there basically front to rear at this point. A few side-by-side racing going on. Obviously, we got a spin over here. That looks like Mason Smotherman. Mason right now in the 89 machine. It looks like he tapped the wall. Not too much damage to that car. He'll pick it back up, get going on the speedway. Obviously pick back up the rear of the field. B class, right? Actually, excuse me, Mason Smotherman in the O class right now, the GT3s. But still, he is second overall in the O class.
He is indeed. He's still got a good spot there. We'll hopefully hold on to that for now, but a lot of track still to play with at the moment. Looking through our guys at the moment, that's the first place car we just saw a moment ago. Matt Smotherman. That is Mr. Beans there. Dave Hines. Hopefully he doesn't mind that nickname. That's one I'll be using for at least the rest of the race. But as we come through here, that will be once again Smotherman. That 84 machine has been so strong this season. Hunter Reeve here in 4th. Hunter is in 3rd place overall for your beneficiaries, running behind Poppenhouse and Smotherman's brother, Mason, who is just in front of him there. That's the one he's keeping his eyes on at the moment, trying to get past at least one of the two. We asked him last week if their mother had given them the same middle name initial, at least, as they both are M. Smotherman, which is so confusing.
Well, you have my curiosity. You say Dave Hines is Mr. Bean. Any idea how he got that nickname?
Oh, no, I gave him that nickname.
You gave him that nickname. See, I'm learning everything tonight.
Yeah,
so
whether he likes it or not, he's now Mr. Beans. That's his new name.
Well, that's funny because we got a ketchup over here named Heinz Ketchup. So, you know,
wow.
Beans.
Yeah. You better catch up with the field. He's a little bit far back, isn't he?
Yeah, I see that. He did. I did see that they did head unlimited quick repairs with this, and that's exactly what he did. He got 4 tires. He got fuel. He got his quick repair. Got back out. Fully repaired machine in that number 57 of Dave Hines. But GT class back here on the screen right now. Going to take and mix it up here. I do believe that is, I'm trying to see some numbers, a 44 of Hunter Reeve, as well as behind him, actually ahead of him, Adam Poppenhouse, same class actually, the B class. That's 2nd and 3rd for the B class in the GT3s. And it looks like Reeve's going to have a chance to run him down. He's just got to take it real easy, make them tires last. Again, they still got a pit stop to go. And it's only about, 12 minutes into this race.
Is indeed lots and lots and lots and lots of race to go for us tonight as these guys pound around the track here at Sebring. And just going down in the background, beautiful there. Just in case anyone's not sure, he didn't make it to America, Rowan Atkinson, a British actor, did a character called Mr. Bean, who drove around in a little Mini Cooper and was quite a comic character. In case you're not familiar with that one, check it out. That's where the joke came from. I just realised this may not have culturally translated so far, so we'll go with that one.
I'm actually familiar with Mr. Beans, and I watch a lot of different things on his YouTube channel. That's why I was wondering where it came from. So it could have been taken out of context, but I understand because Beans and a joke, yeah, I get what you're saying. But either way, Mr. Beans is where it's at in that Dave Hines machine. He has actually got one guy behind him. That's Jason McSparron, the number 119. He is a lap down, and he is in the pits, by the way. Unsure if he's doing his pit stop right now. I don't see anything going up on that car, but either way, McSparron, 119, in the pits in the prototypes.
That's from the back of the field, so it could have been damage taken from the impact earlier. It might have been completely separate. It might be his stop. There's Egachik here in 3rd place with Guillemette beside him there on the inside. This is for second place, and they're side by side. The Air Force car battling hard here. Oh, contact! We said that rubbing is racing, I think, but that was more of a bump than a rub.
What did you say earlier about non-contact with these guys? Now, wait a minute. It does happen.
It's a bad idea.
It is a bad idea. It can ruin somebody's night, and it can ruin somebody's whole season. I understand how that works. So, but back up in second place, Aragon actually took that over, 86 machine. He's still got a long ways to go. He's actually 3.5 seconds behind our leader, Chris Walsh, last time at the line, as Walsh has still got a very large overtake of the field right now. Again, looking at that 44 machine. Hunter Reeves there on board with him right now on the roof cam. We'll take and see him on my screen. He does have a challenge ahead of him. That is third place and second place of Poppenhaus. Again, Poppenhaus in the number 12 machine. He slows down for that corner, gives the chance for Reeve to catch up. Reeve gets it, but just off the corner a little bit slow. They'll spread out that second and third place now about 5-6 car lengths. Poppenhaus still trying to take a pull away from him. Hill down on a left-hand turn. Nice and easy, gentle left-hand turn. Taking and spread that out to about 6 car lengths between second place. Hard on the brakes going into that corner. Looks like Poppenhaus tried to get in there a little bit slower as Reeves did. Reeves a little bit closer this time, but we're working on him trying to get down to that second place in the B class of the GT3s.
Oh, they are indeed. Still lots of spicy racing down here in the beneficiary class. These guys all over each other having a good time with this one. As we're apparently just hearing now that the reason's getting darker so quickly as, oh boy, at least they've got headlights on these cars, because it's going to be it's 4 times speed for the skybox here at iRacing, which means that it's going to be going through time. So 1 hour will be 4 hours of sky transition. So we're expecting this to end in the night, which will be interesting on a track with no actual standing lights. So we'll see how that plays out. We expect to end under darkness here at Sebring. And I was going to mention when we were talking about the Air Force car, this was a B-17 training base earlier. It was indeed. They used to ferry them down here before sending them off to Europe, along with a number of other places. And yeah, they trained crews at this field. He's looking on board there, 3rd and 4th place in your GT3 cars. There's Poppenhaus and Reeve there, the 2 beneficiaries neck and neck here. This will be for position.
By the way, Hunter Reeves didn't have any type of practice whatsoever tonight. Turned in a qualifying lap of a 2.02.498. Right now in the race, he's just about a minute behind the leader, which obviously that shows on my screen as one of the prototypes. So that's the way that's going to be. I understand how that all pans out. But either way, he's got a challenge ahead of him right now, kind of following that 12 car Poppenhaus. He keeps closing in on him when he gets into the corner, but unfortunately, because he gets in so late, he loses the exit speed. So he's got to take and concentrate a little bit harder on the brakes, a little bit earlier. As you see here, Poppenhaus taking a little bit earlier, obviously, and then gets around the corner and has the speed off, and that's where he pulls away from him. And again, Reeves just got to take it real easy. Now, the other thing with Reeves, as he's getting in later into the corner, when he's getting on the brakes that hard, that actually does wear the front tires a little bit more, because you're using them to slow the car down more than you should. Like right here is a great example of that. He'll take and get on the brakes a little bit harder, get close to him, come out of the corner, and obviously Poppenhaus has the advantage as he pulls away from him again down here in the stretch.
That's a great description there, Ray, of what's occurring between these two. Definitely going in a lot harder than the car in front of Poppenhaus. He's just backing it up a little bit more, getting that good launch off the corner. Always very important to do, but the more these two fight, of course, the more Rasmussen is going to run away. He's already got 4 seconds on Bradley Beeman. Make that 11 seconds on Adam Poppenhaus. Yeah, 11 seconds, and we're 12 minutes in.
McSparron, by the way, earlier, who was in the pit last time we talked about him, 1 lap down. He is last right now in the prototypes, going back up through as we're watching the GT3 still here. Dave Heinz in the 57 prototype back on track, working his way back up through, but he's going to have to wait till later to take, and he'll get around the top 2, by the way, GT3 in the B class, as Reeves and Poppenhaus still fighting it out. Either way, Dave Heinz still kind of on the track, taking his time getting back up through, not able to catch his class for quite a while. He might be able to make it to the end. What do you think about that, Rachel? I mean, he took it earlier, obviously got his quick repair because he had his issues. I'm not sure. Can he make it to the end with that pit stop, or do you think he's got to stop at least one more time within this hour?
Oh, 100%. Prototypes won't make it far at all, so he will need to stop. And I don't know why, whether it's the mention of this being a former Air Force base or the fact it's a veteran supporting series here, but, you know, we've commentated before, Ray.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was always something about your voice that always sounded so familiar. I've realized what it is now.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
You ready?
I don't even want to take a guess, to be honest with you.
No, you're not going to guess. You remind me of Alan Alda.
Oh my goodness, I never even thought about that.
That voice, it's the same accent, it's the same inflections and intonation. It's Hawkeye right here. I'm just like,
I came here to perform surgery, but, not today. So what the heck was that line he had? I'm trying to think now, darn it. But that was a good show, by the way, Mash. I'm liking the reference. I appreciate that. Actually, I'll take that as a very good compliment.
It is, yes, and Jason Leach just corrected me, actually, because I've been calling it Air Force Base, and I forgot the Americans got very confused about that during the Second World War, and they still had the Army Air Corps, of course, before it changed to the US Air Force in the 50s, so that would be a very accurate correction from Jason Leach here. He is right, as, well, folks, we mentioned this a little bit earlier. We're going to go to it now, so you get a chance to enjoy this, but we did mention earlier, we have got that interview for you, so we would like you to play this interview for you. We'll get our producer to set this one up for you. He sat down with Wayne Estes, President and GM of Sebring Raceway. Enjoy.
At this time, we'd like to welcome Mr. Wayne Estes. He is the President and General Manager at Sebring International Raceway. Good evening, Wayne. How are you this evening?
Doing terrific, Ryan. Thank you very much for having me on.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Can you talk a little bit about your role as President and General Manager at Sebring International Raceway?
So I used to say, in my former jobs, I used to do everything that nobody else wanted to do. But this is radically different now. I was at Bristol Motor Speedway as Vice President of Events when I left the racetrack up there. And at that time, I was responsible for things like logistics and new event development. And when I came here, you end up having oversight for every aspect of the business. But it also is very much a part of IMSA properties. So there are plenty of people at IMSA and at NASCAR that have a voice in what happens. It's like the title President and General Manager sounds like it's a really grand and glorious job. But I don't think I've ever had more bosses in my life than I do right now, because I've got them above me and below me. We consider everybody at NASCAR who calls down here to be a boss. We also consider everyone who comes through the gate to be my boss. So whether it's a car club or a ticketed person that wants to come through to watch the 12 hours or the WEC event or any of the other events that we have here, or if it's a sponsor, not just for me, but all of us on our staff here, all of those people are our bosses. So our role is to do whatever people tell us to do. And what we've tried to do too, Ryan, and this is important, Ryan, when I got here I got here 6.5 years ago. And when I arrived, I came to Sebring having my most recent trip had been in 1985. And when I grew up, this racetrack was one of the most important racetracks in the country, if not the world. It was the birthplace of American endurance racing. And we set out early when I arrived to restore it back to where it was back when I was a kid. Obviously Daytona is the most important sports car race in the United States now, but we are trying to knock at the door to make our event back the way it used to be, because it used to be Le Mans, Sebring, and then Daytona. Obviously now Daytona has taken on a life of its own, as it should have, but we are determined to help Sebring find its way back to where it was before.
That's really exciting to hear about. Can you speak to how Sebring supports the military and veteran communities?
Well, if you know anything about the history of this racetrack, and if you come here, you can see it right before your eyes. This racetrack is built on the site of a B-17 training facility that was built specifically for World War II. There were, at any given time, there were as many as 10,000 soldiers on this property learning to fly in and fly the B-17s. One of our neighboring communities has a bombing range, and there were just B-17s and P-51s and all kinds of military aircraft flying around here. This racetrack was built in 1941. I think the groundbreaking here was in June of 1941. Pearl Harbor got bombed in December of 1941, and they were landing airplanes here in January. I mean, just a month after Pearl Harbor. The thought of what this country was doing at that time to gear up for the effort in 1941, 1942, Those are the bones and the foundation of this racetrack. There are still many buildings on this property. There's an original barracks here. There's a hangar at the facility next door. The airport is still here. The original tower is still over there. On our property, the original flagpole is still a centerpiece of the racetrack property here. So when you come here, you always feel a little bit of that World War II Army Air Corps base at the same time. And when you have that kind of a foundation, it makes celebrating those who have participated in defending our country and defending freedom. It's part of our DNA. And we have worked hard to be sure that people don't forget that. We typically have military flyovers frequently with planes like World War II era planes will be our flyover planes. We've had P-51s. We've had some Navy trainers. We've had a little bit of everything. You cannot separate Sebring from its history. And not just the history of the sports cars that came here, but the reason this racetrack was built was because of a Russian airplane part salesman named Alec Ullman, who visited this place during the war when he was peddling airplane parts, and he wanted to bring sports car racing to North America. So it is definitely part of our DNA.
There's no doubts that it's in the roots of Sebring International Raceway. How has Sebring supported Operation Motorsport?
Prior to me knowing anything about Operation Motorsports, those of us at the racetrack here first met Tiffany Lauder when she came to us as a college intern. She was finishing up a program and she needed some college credits. I think everybody else in her classes in Canada wanted to be involved with hockey teams, and she was that lone person who wanted to go to a racetrack, and we welcomed her here. And she helped us for several years. And through her, we met Diesel. Through Diesel and Tiffany, we met Operation Motorsports. And from the time they told me what they were going to do and the work that they were doing, we were 100% behind them. We have tried to support them every way we can. When they call, it is always our plan to try to figure out how to say yes. That typically has been during the 12-hour weeks, the Super Sebring weeks for the WEC, but it's also, Tiffany and Diesel brought Operation Motorsport here for the SRO event that we had this past fall. So we have worked with some of the Operation Motorsports participants. Some of them, we've had those who have waved the green flag for the 12 hours before. So it is a program that we are, it's not too far-fetched to say we're emotional about it.
Yeah, I can really tell, and that's incredible for all the support that's been given. Is there anything big that you're looking forward to in 2022?
Brian, we are completely changing everything about this racetrack for this event. What is coming in the next 2 years to IMSA and to the WEC is a whole new platform of car. Whether you're in the WEC and call it the hypercar, or whether you go to IMSA and they're recalling the name GTP. But so many manufacturers are going to be taking part in sports car racing worldwide in the next 2 years that we know that there is going to be explosive growth. We know that we have to improve our logistics. So we have a whole long laundry list. You could fill a legal pad with the things that we are doing to try to streamline our logistics so that we can help more people get in here easier, more quickly. We are changing our gates. But it's not just about the logistics. We don't want to forget that we cannot control what happens on the racetrack. We cannot possibly recreate the race that Sebastian Bourdais drove at the end of the year last year, at the end of the 12 hours last year. That was spectacular, but we cannot impact that or affect that in any way. What we can do is be sure that the people who pay their money to come in through the gate get the best possible experience they can. We're trying to add more fireworks. We're going to add more music. We intend to improve our flyovers. we intend to make the guest experience as much as it was possible, as much as it is possible to make it pre-pandemic like. We've opened up our paddock again. We're going to have grid walks again, but we also want to make sure that anything that we did in 2019, we do better in 2022, and that we will do better again in 23. We've spent a good bit of time working on improving sight lines. We've built some new viewing mounds. We've increased our wheelchair accessible areas throughout the property. So this is going to be a big year. When people drive in, they're going to see a difference, and they will see it in our people, and they will see it in everything they do as they drive through the gate.
It's great to hear about how you have fans in mind. Where can people go to learn more about Sebring International Raceway and its upcoming events?
Of course, the one-stop shop is www.sebringinternationalraceway.com, and we are very pleased to also say that the Hall of Fame Gallery of Legends will be back this year, though it's not going to be in the paddock. Traditionally, it's been in a building in the paddock. We're going to use that existing building for a media center, but we're going to move the Gallery of Legends to the hotel next door, Hotel 7, which is called 7 because it's in turn 7 of the racetrack. So you go to the Le Mans Ballroom and you'll get to see some historic cars and some historic people too. You know, Jackie Ickx is going to be here this year as our Grand Marshal. So you don't find a much bigger name in sports car racing than Jackie Ickx. So we're very proud of that as well.
As you should be. That's very exciting. Wayne, I also wanted to say thanks for joining us on your birthday.
Well, thank you very much. I'll go ahead and admit it. This is my Medicare birthday, so though I don't have plans to retire or anything like that, I'm really old. So, so I still really enjoy all kinds of motorsports, especially sports car racing, and we hope for many more.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, Wayne.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it, and wish all participants great luck, and the spectators that are watching online that they have a great time tonight. Thank you.
Welcome back, race fans. Of course, that was our interview with Wayne Estes, the president and general manager of Sebring Raceway. Fantastic interview there with our very own Mr. Bauer. But right now on track, the darkness has really fallen here. Chris Walsh leading the way in your prototypes, 2.6 seconds ahead of Egachik in second place, with Guillemette back in third. Behind them is Smotherman chomping away here on Hunter Reeve. You can see him there. Reeve 10 seconds back, keeping him honest, but not close enough. Bradley Beamon himself 8 seconds back there. Your leader in the open class, with Reed 4 seconds plus back from him as well. So a big gap on the racetrack now for our classes here. Ray, this one spread out as the darkness came down. These guys are all being a little bit more cautious than we expected, and their lapping's about to start.
I mean, yeah, with the speed that they're putting out, and obviously the headlights trimming out for a certain distance, it takes them a little bit to get adjusted from the day into night as they get the distance that they can see a lot less. Of course, they've already memorized the track, but keep in mind, things do change and the track does cool down at night, which in iRacing does affect the handle of these cars. Jack McSparron, we're on board right now, P7 in the prototype class, and he's rolling right along. He is car 119. I'm saying he's actually in the back where Dave Heinz, remember earlier in the race, got unfortunately some contact, had to go in, get his quick repair. And I think McSparron had the same type of issue later on, obviously last on the track right now, making his way up through the GT class as we go along. One of the other things that happened during the interview, Beeman and Reeves kind of spread out just a little bit. Beeman still in second place, Reeves and Poppenhaus. I'll get those two right, still learning. They are part of the B class, obviously. Reeves still ahead of him, but he has really spread out second place back to Poppenhaus in the number 12 car. That's about 15 car lengths, again, in the B GT3 class.
Yeah, they are indeed there, of course. Hunter Reeve looking at him there. The back end of that very, very dark Ferrari. As we look over the wing, and you can't tell where the wing starts and the track begins because it is dark out there and there's no one behind him, so we can't see a thing. Yeah, Sebring's pretty dark. I believe that's going to be our third place runner. It is indeed. There's Egachik coming up towards those cars now. From second place to the prototypes. Looking towards them as he tries to find a way through here. This could be the run up towards Cunningham and then towards Hanger here. Gets it through. Good run through there. He'll have to come up now towards this twisting section before we enter Le Mans. The track is actually a lot more forgiving this latter half. The first half, there's so much grass, it's hard to see a lot of things, but there's so much reflection here off the concrete. You get a great view, but without walls for light to reflect off, honestly, Ray, it can become very disorientating here.
No way, I see that.
It's like, oh, a bit of a wiggle there from Mega Chick as he comes up here, but with no walls for light to bounce off, it's hard to sort of judge where the track's going.
Well, that's what it comes down to. I mean, again, like I said earlier, they got the memorization down to the turns and so on, braking points and all that, and obviously the changing of the track. But without, you just said that, you said it right on the head. If you can't see that wall, you're judging the distance, and keep in mind, as your headlights hit the wall, it's not hitting the grass. You come upon that, and then suddenly the grass is there, and if you kind of forget where you are, just take a minute to kind of keep things out of your mind. Obviously, you can go overshoot the turn, and I think it's happened maybe once that I've seen tonight, but Agrenak is on pit lane right now in the 86 machine, going in, get his fuel and tires for the first time tonight. 35 minutes almost into this race. That'll be about another 10 seconds, and that'll happen. 25 minutes to go, and now would be the time you're going to start seeing most of these guys come in for their pit stops.
Absolutely, about halfway here, and we're not necessarily expecting tires. People might, but I suspect it will definitely be, with it being nighttime, we'll see people double stinting here. Although this is equivalent to a sprint race, tires do take a lot of extra time, so these guys have to be much more careful here. Unlike NASCAR, of course, these guys cannot fuel and take tires at the same time. GT rules.
See, that's another thing I learned, obviously, tonight, and I did not know about that. It's one thing I'll keep an eye on. One other thing I'd like to point out, Rachel, earlier our track temperature was just over 102 degrees Fahrenheit. It is now down to 82. So as I said earlier, it cools down quite a lot, obviously, without the sun hanging over it. At least the Florida sun, we'll say, because obviously they say, it's a dry heat. Well, I'll tell you what, it's still hot nonetheless. It does heat up this asphalt, and this old World War II Air Force base, obviously, has a lot of wear out on basically their surface. Still up front, though. Let's see, results back to then. Smotherman still taking the lead, obviously, keeping an eye right now, I believe, on, I'm trying to see in the dark here, obviously, on our broadcast. Looks like up front, that's the 104 of Chris Walsh. That's our leader in the prototypes, and he's got a good 1.67 lead over the number 5 of Tyler Guillemet. Now, by the way, Tyler, he was 1.9 seconds back 2 laps ago, gained 0.3 of a second as he's going up through. So this might be a challenge before the end of this race, but like you said earlier, they still have to go in for fuel before they get done.
Yeah, they do indeed, of course, an Army Air Force base. I don't think this ever actually converted to an Air Force base before it closed down. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, I don't think this one ever was actually made it to being an Air Force base. It was always Army Air Corps, but no, track is phenomenal here for racing, and they do race, of course, in darkness at times around Sebring, so it's not exactly uncommon. It's just unusual, of course, especially for these guys who've always dealt with shorter races during a set time. This has to be a different experience for our drivers on track, of course, and it will shake things up, and of course darkness can breed incidents when things get a little bit sideways. So of course, one thing to be very much aware of during this whole business, it is going to be one of those races. Looking through the field here, seeing everyone coming through now, and now would be a fantastic time to take a look at our beneficiary spotlight for tonight's race. We don't have him on track, of course, but tonight's spotlight is Brock Hogan, who was born in Edmonton, Alberta in 1989, and he spent most of his life living nearby in the city of Spruce Grove. Brock joined the Canadian Armed Forces in 2009, and during his career, he completed numerous Army courses such as the reconnaissance, parachuting, and mounted operations, tactical intelligence operator, as well as more high-level courses and qualifications. He deployed once to Kabul, Afghanistan, and Brock also deployed once in a domestic operation in 2015 near Prince Albert in Saskatchewan, where he assisted fighting fires and helping locals with evacuation procedures. In 2018, he suffered a seizure at home, and after tests and scans, he was diagnosed with a brain tumor in the left temporal lobe. In 2019, he underwent brain surgery at the University of Alberta, and with the proper team of doctors and medication, his outcome appears to be positive and pointing towards a full recovery. Brock has always been and had interest in joining a motorsports environment, and thanks to Operation Motorsport, that dream has started to become a reality. He heard about Operation Motorsport from a military friend who was also very interested in motorsports. Upon reading the OPMO mission statement and noticing that they'd been doing great work there for injured veterans, Brock decided to apply to the organisation that he respected, and Brock has been participating in their sim racing series, using the practice to learn more about racing and driving. Brock has also run simulated endurance races with the TWOF Autosport team. We've seen them in a few endurance races recently, meeting both Trevor and Travis Hill and being blown away by their experience and knowledge. So that is, of course, Brock Hogan, Canadian driver we're spotlighting tonight. Hats off to you,
Brock, we appreciate your service and thank you very much for your time and efforts that you've had with what you've had in the service. By the way, one of the questions I have, Hunter Reeves was just in with the 44 machine, one of the challengers earlier in the B class. With that being said, the beneficiary class, he was running third in that class, but he sat quite a while on pit lane. Does it, again, please excuse my ignorance, stock car guy here, does it take a little while for these cars to get fueled? I mean, he was there for a good, probably almost a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
A minute it can, yeah. It could be up to about 40-50 seconds sometimes with these cars. A minute and a half maybe not, but it could be quite a lengthy stop in these cars. You are taking fuel, although it shouldn't be as long, and necessarily tyres wouldn't be the bright idea here, but it can be a very lengthy stop compared to a stock car. This is no 10-second job.
Yeah, that was one thing I was curious about. And when he did pull in, by the way, I seen some smoke roll out of the rear. I wasn't sure if he was the tires or the engine. Either way, unlimited quick repairs, even if he did have some damage or some issues with the motor. Back out on the track he is right now. Back up front, Chris Walsh, by the way, is pulled into his pit. Finally just came back out onto the speedway. The number 5 of Guillemette is actually taken over the lead. I don't believe that he's been in this pit yet. I'm going to look back down through a couple laps here just to see if that has happened. But either way, he is in the lead as we speak. I just looked past 10 laps. I do not see anything with that number 5 machine coming in just yet, so I do believe he's got a pit stop to make before the next 20 minutes is over with.
Yeah, I believe he will as well. As we look on board with Walsh here, who should be our provisional leader once things shake out at the moment. He's been in for his. He's running third right now, of course, but that will cycle around. Gap there is definitely a lot more what we'd expect between the pit cycle. So we'll keep on board with that at the moment. Matt Smotherman, his gap is still significant. He is 20 seconds ahead of second place in class, Adam Poppenhaus, which is ridiculous. He's not going to slow down at night. He's like the Energizer Bunny.
He just keeps right on going and going and going. So apparently you guys got Energizer batteries over there, I would assume, if that was the case. So at least you have the reference there down pretty good. Recognize that, by the way, from when I was a kid, to be honest. I hated that thing, to be honest with you. We used to have commercials, and every time you have a commercial, an Energizer Bunny would interrupt, and it'd be like, really? So anyways, with that being said, Poppenhaus right now in the B-Class second, Matt Smotherman is still in first, and like you just said, quite a distance between first, second, and going all the way back to John Winker in the 07 machine. He is actually in third place in the B-Class beneficiaries right now, 14th overall, and I think he has gone in for his service as well. I'll take a look at that. On board right now on the rough cam, Mason Smotherman, P4 in your prototype class. Let me see here. Going down through. Actually, I believe that was GT. My apologies on that. But a lot of action happening all the way around the track there, Rachel.
It is indeed, and of course we have the Energizer Bunny over here. Oh yeah, that's a good one, that one. But moving on, 5 of Guillemette is on pit road now. On to pit road here for his service, and we've got another prototype coming in behind him. That's Wallace coming in as well. So these guys will cycle through here from first and second. We're expecting Rodney Campbell in very shortly as well. I think should cycle back to Chris Walsh for the lead. Keep a look back at Guillemette here, see how long he is before he's out again. Oh, someone's playing rubber wall there. Guillemette's still waiting. These are long pit stops. They do take their time. And he's away. But will it be enough to stop the car of Walsh there, who's coming through? Walsh will pass him.
So Rodney Campbell, by the way, who is will actually be on the point next time around, according to the scoring loops anyways. I believe, like you were just saying, Campbell still has yet to make his pit stop in the prototype class, and Walsh, we know, already has been about 2 laps ago. Official time right now, over 17 minutes, just over 17 minutes before we're done with the official race. These guys got, at least another, I'm going to say 7 laps to go, if not more than that. Actually, more than that, because they're about a minute and a half apiece, roughly. 2 minutes trying to figure out in my head. Yeah, about 7-8 laps. Oh, we got one off in the grass. That's Rodney Campbell, by the way. He's got it back on track going. He is the provisional leader at the moment in time. I'm not sure if that was a tire issue where he just overdrove the corner or slip, but right behind him looks to be Chris Walsh, and he's going to overtake the Rodney there on the back turn, right-hand turn as we go now in the prototypes. 104, Chris Walsh will be back to the lead with fresh load of fuel in the car.
Certainly is, and I think Rodney Campbell just overcooked that corner, unfortunately for him. That it did what he needed it. There's a lot of traffic right behind him here. A lot of the prototypes all over each other in this one. Seems they put out a lot more light than some of the other cars, I think. Makes their race a little bit easier when you've got massive headlights. Do you think, Ray, it makes it easier when your light moves further faster, or if you go slower? Is it just
I was thinking the distance of the light obviously helps out a lot too, but that may have been obviously Rodney's problem where, again, like you were saying earlier, with the walls are reflective. They didn't have a wall to weigh in the distance over the grass, so like you said, I think he overcooked it just a little bit because of the reason of basically just not being able to see as nice as it would be. So, but shorter lights would help if you were going slower, but I think the long beams on these things that going down the long stretches, at least as we're looking right now, I'm looking at Chris Walsh's car. And, man, you can see all the way down that front straightaway as he goes down to make a left-hand turn, passing another GT car. Trying to see who that number is as we go around to the inside. I say left-hand side, inside I'm used to. Road course racing, left and right. Got to get that down. So, but either way, Chris Walsh retakes your lead. I think he's doing pretty good with the headlights he's got right now and flying a couple guys in the rear view mirror as he goes by him.
Well, there you go. And yes, we call it left and right rather than inside and outside, but yeah, the inside of the corner still exists. It's still a road racing factor, of course. Tyler Clement here on track third overall with things running at the moment. Still 2.6 back from your leader as he goes very wide there. Nearly too wide coming through the hairpin. That was almost off track for Guillemette. I think one of the bigger factors at Night Ray, of course, is we've got two GT cars side by side here. They 620 machine there of Parsons. And with Tyler Reed, Mason Smotherman just behind him there, getting a go on here. But nighttime, one of the biggest things is judging distance is so much harder. What you think is your braking zone might be different. The shadow you might have used or a position of something may change with how the lights look on something. So you've always got to factor that in.
And one thing I do like about graphics, cameras or otherwise, these guys use the brakes a lot, and at nighttime you can see those rotors getting nice and cherry red, heating them up down through every tight corner, of course, even more. And with road course racing, unlike stock cars, going back to the reference that I've got, most of the time with the brake bias they got a lot in the front, especially when it comes to a tight track. Road course, not so much. They got to use all four brakes. Obviously not more of an even bias front to back is what I'm getting at. And you don't want to get on the brake too hard because it gives a chance for the rear end of the car to come around. And obviously these guys are doing a fantastic job keeping up. Mason Smotherman right now in P5 as we're riding along road with him in the 89 machine. Challenge in front. I'm trying to see what the number of the car is as they take that right-hander. I believe that's the, let me see, Smotherman. I believe that's Adam Poppenhaus. Possibly in the beneficiary class on number 12 as he gets passed by another prototype here. As we're going down through, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty towards the end of this race, just under 15 minutes left.
Yeah, it certainly is, of course. And this one is going hard here as these guys run around the track for us. A lot of racing action we've seen tonight. Some fantastic stuff on track here. It's got a little quieter, like we mentioned, as the night fell, but if anything, it makes it a little bit more nerve-wracking because so many more mistakes you can make at a track like Sebring at night. It's not somewhere people are usually familiar with. And of course, who knows, a gator might come wandering across the track. And I actually took umbrage with something you mentioned earlier, Ray. A dry heat in Florida? Are we kidding here? Dry Florida? Really?
I'm thinking so. I mean, well, I've been in Florida a couple times, and here's the deal. I live in the Northeast, obviously wintertime right now, and when it gets hot up here, it gets sweltering, and it gets basically humid. So non-humidity heat, it definitely is a little bit different. But again, tropical Florida, I get it. I made a mistake, though. I've only been there a couple times, but one of the things I'm going to bring up, though, excuse me just a second, in the prototypes, by the way, we have a challenge for the lead up front. Chris Walsh is going to have some company pretty quick. Brandon Aragot is actually up in second place in the 86 machine, and he has been gaining lap after lap. Last lap, he was roughly about 12 car lengths back, making 8 right now, and he is hammering up through. But behind them, the number 5 of Tyler Gromet is in third place, and he's coming along just fine. The number 86 of Aragot is actually 1.27 seconds, make it a half a second at the line that time. Behind our leader, Chris Walsh, we're going to have ourselves a nice little 10-minute race between the top two prototypes, the way it looks here.
Well, that will be exciting. Can't wait to see what these guys will do now as this one comes down to the line here in the Proto class. Unfortunately, it won't be the beneficiaries because he is out of here. He's checked out. Matt Smotherman looking for that golden broomstick here, looking on board with Negachick. In second place there in your prototype field. Second place is Poppenhaus, also running on his own. Further back is John Winker, and behind him is Hunter Reeve, who did have some trouble earlier. Running really far back. Reeves had a rough day with a bit of an incident early on, so not his night either. This prototype field does appear to be the spicy one, though.
Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye right now on that prototype up front because it's getting quite exciting as we go in toward the last leg of this, last quarter of this race. And the reason I say that, obviously, under 15 minutes of the hour race as we go. Brandon a little bit harder into the corners. And as we were talking about before with the GT3s, with the 44 and Poppenhaus number 12, it was a difference of braking. That's one thing you got to do, outbrake somebody on a road course. And that's exactly what Walsh is trying to do right now to that number 86 that's right behind him. He overdrives the corner of the 86 of Brandon a little bit hard that time, loses a lot of time, gains it back up though quite quickly on the straight, make it about, well, they basically went from 3 car lengths back to 8, now 10, and obviously Walsh is off to a run, get away from him as much as he can. We'll see who can route break who here down the right-hander.
Oh, they very much will. Things getting very spicy here for them. Coming through Sunset Bend, the sun is long set here at Sebring. Under that fresh from Florida banner. Into turn 1 yet again under the Chevrolet Arch here. This big left-hander to hold it tight into a narrowing, what really does feel like a double apex in a prototype car at times. It's a slight kink, but it feels like one continuation of the same corner here, Ray. We'll come through the twisty section here before dropping onto Big Bend. After the sight of calamity in some races, but onto the big right-hander now before diving hard into braking zone here for the old hairpin. And they'll kick out through the kink into Fangio just up the road here. This one is coming down the line as our closest battle, 0.8 seconds.
One thing right along with that 86, I noticed when he goes into the hairpin, he turned it a little bit extra on the outage of that corner. And one of the problems I seen, he was kind of dragging the front tires just for a second. That's one of those things that as a driver, you got to kind of watch what I'm getting at. As you turn the wheel, you easy the tires around the corner, but if you turn it way too much, you're dragging them sideways. Even for a second will hurt your speed. It'll hurt the tires, and I believe that's what happened to Brandon, obviously going around that corner. He's actually losing some time to our leader, Chris Walsh, right now. But again, still a little bit of ways to go. We're just under 10 minutes in this race to the end. Obviously, earlier was 3 car lengths back to the second place of Brandon. Now we've got at least 15 as we've seen, and I think that corner did hurt his drive just a little bit last time around.
Yeah, there's a good chance of that, of course. Parsons on board here from the Open class. The Open boys have been a little quiet in this one tonight. There's not been a lot of battling going on amongst them, but we have everyone split up by category right now, and we've got prototype class. We have beneficiary open, beneficiary open, open, beneficiary open, 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 beneficiary, open, open, beneficiary. So it only really filters in further back, but there's some pretty big gaps back there in our open field.
One of the things you were talking about, Mason Smotherman there, he is in second place, by the way, and he is under fire from the 620 of Taylor Parsons in the open class, by the way. With that being said, I believe that's what we're watching right now, just trying to see some numbers and, again, match up some colors of cars on our screen. But that is about the distance and exactly where they're at, so we'll take and follow them for just a couple of minutes. Smotherman in second, like I said, in the open. Taylor Parsons in the 620. He is in third, but Bradley Beeman overall in the open is leading them by at least about a quarter of a lap. And again, 3.7 miles here is nothing to be ashamed of. He's probably about 3/4 of a mile ahead of them. Bradley Beeman right now actually being shown in P2. I'm trying to see in the open class. I swear on my list that's what I've got as Beeman leading the thing. But Smotherman in second, Tyler Parsons in third, Brian Winkler in fourth, Tyler Reed in fifth, Jay Gleason in sixth. I got USO&C in seventh, Jason Steinbrück in eighth, Rick Halzett in 11th, USN02 in 12th, actually. This is all in the open class as we go down through with the GT cars.
Yeah, we do indeed, of course. And running up here now, things are kind of busy here. Looking back on Egerchik as we filter through some traffic from the GT field. Eyes firmly locked down Chris Walsh ahead of him. We could see a battle for the overall victory here at Sebring in this final round. Oh, it's going to definitely heat up before it cools down any further than this. This will be the highlight battle, I think, towards the end of this race here. So these GT cars picking up some rear wing damage, I just saw there, Ray. So that's going to be a bit of trouble for some of them with the rear end grip there under braking, but Not sure where that came from, other than maybe light contact early on.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what car it was. I did see that wing damage here earlier about 2 laps ago. I didn't see who it was, so didn't necessarily point out. I agree with you on that. Back up front, obviously, right now, battle for the front in the prototypes. Obviously, Chris Walsh in the 104 you're seeing here. He's got some lap traffic to deal with in GT3s, and it's looking like Brandon is running him down. Only about 2 car lengths separate the top 2 right now with this lap traffic. It is advantage to the 86. The 86 just doesn't have to overdrive the corner. He outbrakes him going into the right-hander here. And obviously, Walsh has a chance to get off in the left-hander, goes to 3 S's, and Walsh takes it out ahead another 10 car lengths and opens up that gap back to second place.
Yeah, just a smoother run through the corners there for Chris Walsh, getting the entry right here. You can see Egajic's a little impatient. He's trying to make some time up, but he's not quite sure where he could do it. Walsh is just being so fluid here with the corners. He's really not giving much room to find that time here. Egajic is desperate. He's 0.4 back here. That is so close.
Yeah, Egerchik, if you keep an eye on him, what I'm getting at with him is every time they go into the corner, it was the same thing like I was talking with the GT cars beneficiary class, that they would get right up tight, and then obviously on the exit, your leader would pull away, and that's exactly what's going on here. But it looks like Egerchik has a chance there to come off that corner a little bit hard. No, Walsh pulling away a little bit more. You can see that gap stretch out on that long straightaway. A little bit of lap traffic more in the GT3 class to take care of, down to the easy right-hander double, like you were just saying with the Apex earlier, underneath that bridge. On board right now with Ergacek trying to take and run down Chris Walsh. He's got exactly 5 minutes from this point to do it.
Very much is 5 minutes left. That is not a lot of time here for these guys, as the time will run down here. I think we have a little bit more than 5 minutes. I need to confirm that one for us, but the race here is still very much 10 minutes on the clock there. 10 minutes. You can see it on your screen. Maybe a little bit of confusion going on there, but it is in fact 10 minutes on the nose here remaining at Sebring. Side by side with the GT cars, 4th and 5th place, they're battling. That's the position. That's Mason Smotherman, and that is Taylor Parsons.
Parsons a little bit into the grass there. He'll take and try to keep ahead of him. As right behind him, let me see here. Smotherman, Parsons. There we go. Smotherman able to take and get around Parsons right now. He's able to hold him off. That is for second place in the open class for the GT3s. And it looks like there's a little bit of speed with Parsons on the straight. He'll go to the right-hand side for the right-hander. Take the inside, side by side. And Poppenhaus overdrives the corner. Smotherman overdrives the corner. He'll be in the grass, and he'll give up second place in the open class to Parsons in the 620.
Oh yeah, that was super close there. Mason Smotherman being the victor in that little moment, or no, losing out, sorry, I should say, in that moment there. Hard to tell sometimes in this darkness, actually. Really a little bit difficult. Prototype coming in here might mix this one up.
See, that's one thing I got to do is keep my glasses on, because of darkness, it looked like 5 minutes to me. That's what it was. But no, honestly, I was looking at my lapse time here on my screen. That's what it was. But now I see the race time official on our upper left-hand corner of the screen, if you want to look at that. 8:44 to go as I speak. And obviously looking at the GT class as a couple prototypes come through. I believe that's Chris Walsh taking and getting by one of the guys, Taylor Parsons, taking that lead as far as he can go with the prototype. Going back to the lead right now. Walsh and Ergic still taking and fighting it out. Only 3 car lengths between those two on board right now, that number 86. He's taking a little bit tired turn to the left there, able to take and tighten up that gap. Again, comes down to braking. We'll see who wears their stuff out first. Chris Walsh still at the point. Gains up on Walsh just a little bit, about a half a car length. Back off the corner, tight to the left, obviously, right here. Takes and bounces over those rumble strips. Not enough to keep up with him, though. He'll stretch the lead back out to about 10 car lengths between the top 2 in the prototypes tonight.
Very much so. As this time winds down here at Sebring, the darkness is all-encompassing here on the racetrack. And yeah, let's hope no gators decide to crawl across the track in the darkness, so I think they will be sleeping in the cold of the Florida night air.
The humid Florida night air.
Florida man doesn't run across the racetrack. That would be more concerning, I think.
That would be weird.
Right now.
At least if he had a, like a reflective vest on or something, it would help. But
oh no, they don't do that. Florida man and gators have a lot in common. Both are incredibly bad for your health, but only one of them is powered by a crystalline substance. Leave it there. Tight in here through one, on board here with, I believe that was Smotherman, the Mason variety, as we are in an absolute deadhead battle here with a double Mercedes behind the Ferraris, chasing him down here think Winker's in the back of that grouping. I'm not sure.
I believe Winker there and Tyler Reed are fighting together. I think that's what we're looking at right now. Number 75, Tyler Reed in the open class, I believe, and Winker just ahead of him there. Yes, show's open right now. Winker being showed in, let me see, that's a 75 machine. That's Tyler Reed, excuse me. Just ahead of, sorry, trying to get this down here. Trying to see who that is. I believe that is in the beneficiary class. Actually, Brian Winker right there is in P8. Obviously, car number 336. We'll see if we can get him on my screen. Yeah, we got Winker just behind Tyler Reed. Actually, Winker got him last lap. That's why it shows Winker in my lead ahead of Tyler Reed on my screen. But we got him swapped around. Tyler Reed right now trying to take and keep ahead of Winker. Winker is actually slowing up just a little bit. Obviously, off that last corner, just stretch it out just a little bit more. About 10 car lengths separate those two. And back up front, we'll see how Walsh is holding up with Eric taking in about 10 car lengths between those top two, and we have 5 minutes, 50 seconds to go.
We do indeed, and Brandon Ekachik here in second place. The gap has widened quite significantly. It's doubled. It's still under a second, but it's so wide now. He's not going to be, he will draft up here, but he's not going to be close enough to pass with the draft, I don't think. Unless we have a bit of a bottle up here if your leader gets through the traffic. No issue there. Coming up towards Le Mans now. That big right before you get that maximum speed down here onto the Ullman straightaway. Don't get bottled up behind a GT car. They won't. They'll be able to use it for a draft. Even Walsh is using it for a draft at the last possible second. Pity that. Oh, that is our 01 car of number one position, I should say, of Matt Smotherman, your beneficiary leader, being passed again by the leaders there of the prototype field. Using him for the suck up.
Yeah, you got to think how big those bodies are on those GT cars compared to the prototypes, and the prototypes getting in that slipstream for that draft. It definitely does help them. One of the things I was looking at Brandon's car is, like I said before, when he gets on those rumble strips, even though it shortens up the track, you almost think that's going to help him. I don't believe so. I think those rumble strips do slow down the car just a little bit as it goes through and, again, vibrates up and down with the tire. So for those of you who are not familiar, those are not smooth. Basically, they are a bunch of ribs up and down, and when the tires hit them, it actually does slow it just a little bit. But that's not showing right now for the 86. He is right behind Chris Walsh. He is running out of time. We are just over 4 minutes to go in this race. We're going to see if the 86 can get to 104 tonight in the prototypes.
No, we are indeed. I don't know if that'll be possible, but here's Matt Smotherman, your beneficiary leader in that 84 car. A country mile ahead of second place in class, Adam Poppenhaus. Bradley Beamon there is overall second in GTs, but leading your open class tonight. There is Parsons second in the GTs, or second in the open, I should say. This field is so spread here amongst your GT cars. They're all trying to just survive this race. Those gaps have just widened as this night fell on top of us here. Definitely been a hard one. I think half of these guys are wishing they still had night vision.
Well, wouldn't hurt, that's for sure. I mean, even some night vision goggles in those cars will be very helpful. I can tell you that much. But two of the things we're looking at on track right now, obviously back up with the prototype along with the 86 ride. We're still seeing if he can chase down Chris Walsh in the 104, and it just seems like an ever up and down battle. In other words, he gets close within 3 or 4 car lengths, gets into the corner. Walsh has a little bit of bite off the corner, and he'll take it over the lead, gets on the straight, and walks away from him basically with horsepower. But this time, by the way, keeping an eye on that 86 of Brandon, he'll take and get a little bit closer. Through the dirt, he'll go. Takes that right over the ribs this time, the rumble strips, that is. And we have a challenge for the lead. He is running out of time, and now it's time to get around while he can, because next time back around, I'm thinking it's at least 2 laps to go, maybe 3, depending on how it goes. We're getting 3 wide right now. And it looks like Brandon will take over the lead, but they're side by side going down the stretch.
It's still going to be Walsh on the inside. He'll hold it, I think. He does. Chris Walsh holds on. But that was 3 wide down through Big Bend here at Sebring. My gosh, that was close. Time is running down now. Looking at 2 minutes on the clock, so we should come through here and get white flag this time by. But it is super close here. Down to the wire, around the outside. Looks like a chick. Not gonna get it. Walsh holds on for the moment. Those GT cars, every single one they come upon now, will be that pick to try and decide the overall win of tonight's race. Oh my gosh, this is super close. Closer than it's been all night. They're 0.3 apart here. And we were just 3 wide at night at Sebring. Yeah, I guess you called it, Ray. There would be some 3 wide action.
At least once tonight. I'll take the credit for that. Here we go, down to basically what we were thinking is going to be the last lap next time by. Once they start a finish line, GT3 car again in front of Chris Walsh. Walsh goes wide, a little bit sharp turn to the inside. Another one coming up, by the way, that's going to give Eric Chick another chance at him, I believe. When they hit the next right-hand turn, he'll go down to the inside. GT3 car out of the way. A little bit tighter with the 86 this time. Few bumps going through that corner, but he has closed the gap. Here we go underneath the Yokohama Bridge. Down the front stretch across the start-finish line, and I don't see a white flag as of yet. Maybe 2 more laps to the left-hand side. He'll go and try the left-hand side again, side by side down in turn 2.
Oh, they are side by side, and it might go. We've got the white flag out here. So yeah, we've got the white. We have got the white.
10-4 on the white. Still a challenge up front for the prototypes. Ergacek in second. 2 car lengths behind. He's trying to get to the tail, and he'll wipe out the rear end fishtail and spin it around in turn 5.
Oh, heartbreak for Brandon Egacek here in that US Air Force machine. Just caught a wheel, trying to use every little piece of track. Just caught his rear wheel and spun himself around. Heartbreak for the 86 machine and elation for the 104 as he has to complete the lap here. And he should take the win in the prototype class. Back into a beneficiary field, it is Matt Smotherman leading the way there by a country mile still. He will complete, hopefully by the end of this lap, the golden broomstick here as he will sweep the season here in the beneficiary field. A stellar performance. Beeman behind him as well. Looking forward to a phenomenal result as well, as he should hold on.
Last lap, white flag in the air last time everybody went by. Obviously, race time has run out. And with that being said, back up in the prototypes just for a second, Tyler Grudemet, who was actually in the number 5 car, was in third. When Brandon spun the car around, that gave Tyler the opportunity to catch back up. He is actually separated from Chris Walsh by roughly about 15 car lengths. Like you said before, Rachel, Chris has just got to complete this lap, and he can do it as easy as can be. No rush, no threats from behind. Underneath the bridge, he'll come into the right-hander and just by himself. And we'll keep an eye on him for just a second. Obviously, that Florida cross bridge up there, Sebrings, as he flashes the headlights, comes down for his final lap. And I'll let you call the race.
He comes down now through our final section here. And it's been a busy one tonight with light through to darkness. Here comes Matt Smotherman. All the way down. I'm trying to work out where we are. It's so hard to tell what part of the track they're on at night. I think we're on Ullman. We are on the Ullman straight away. Chris Walsh is going to be coming across the line just ahead of him to take the win here at Sebring. But it's Matt Smotherman from the beneficiaries who will come across the line. First of all, the GT3 cars through Sunset Bend with no sunset in sight here. One last time, and it's going to be across the line and to victory for that number 84 machine, and the clean sweep on the season with those headlights flashing. Behind him though, Bradley Beeman is coming in now through the final parts of the lap here through Le Mans onto the Ullman Straight. This is how bit of a wiggle there, nearly bended in the last sections. That would have been awkward. But the 92 machine, again, this track has been so difficult for these guys at night. It's been such a different experience and phenomenal race by everybody. And just to highlight, we had really, I think, one inter-car contact during this race that caused an incident. This series has been one of the cleanest we've covered. Everyone is here for a good cause and a good reason. And winning that open class will be Bradley Beam on there in the 92 machine as he'll come across the line as well under Barney in the flag stand to cap off our race tonight. We'll go through your running order in just a moment's time, but a phenomenal bit of racing on track here. Poppenhouse as well there in third or second for your beneficiaries. John Winker coming home after we had incidents there for Reeve as well.
Very fun and interesting night, by the way. I appreciate you guys having me here because I've learned a lot, not just Sebring, obviously, but a lot about GT cars, prototypes, and obviously different classes, and actually a lot of excitement to call. Chris Walsh, again, was under fire on that last lap. Thought for sure that he was going to have a shot from the 86 of Brandon Erichik, but no way, man. Unfortunately, Brandon, a little bit excited, overdrove just a corner just a little bit, made for some excitement at the end, and obviously we'll get a rundown order here for tonight's race.
We will indeed. Coming home with the win tonight, it was Chris Walsh in your prototype class, bringing home the bacon there. Tyler Gummert in second, with Egerchik in third after his last lap spin. Martin Wallace in fourth, Rodney Campbell in fifth, with Dave Hines in sixth. Behind them, it is Matt Smotherman taking home the beneficiary win, with Poppenhaus in second. Third place, John Winker. Fourth place, Hunter Reeve. And fifth place, Philippe Chartier. The open field being Bradley Beamon taking the win, with Taylor Parsons in second. Third, Mason Smotherman. Fourth, Tyler Reed. Fifth, Brian Winker. Jake Gleason in sixth. Jake Steinbrink in seventh. Brandon Knight in the 8th place, with 9th place, Rick Haslett. And 10th place is Brian Knight. Well, hopefully we're going to have a chance to chat to our beneficiary winners. We have got Poppenhaus here to talk to in just a second, but we'll hopefully get a chance to chat to Speedy Gonzalez himself, Matt Smotherman, who isn't here yet, which is, to be honest, a letdown, considering he's been the fastest guy all season. I'm shocked. We've got John Winker here as well. He is the last of our interviewees to show up, your race winner. Yeah, fastest guy all season, can't make it to the booth. This is awful. I expected so much more from him, as we see a beautiful, nicer, warmer, more daytime version of Sebring here on your screens.
It makes my heart warm looking at these nice little humid clouds, but you know what? It's still a comforting picture nonetheless, and a beautiful facility as far as I'm concerned, seen tonight. I appreciate you guys introducing me to it. So hopefully we get an interview with somebody tonight. And again, Matt Smotherman, our winner, and you said champion of the B class. Is that correct?
He will be indeed.
I'm very happy for him. And of course, you just said he swept the entire season. Hopefully we get a word with him, if not sometime soon. But either way, I'll let you take the interview. There he is in the interview.
Okay, we have Matt Smotherman with us now, your race winner. And I'm going to chastise you to start with, because fastest guy all season, and you're the last one to the interview booth.
I'm terrible at that. I'm terrible at that. I'm sorry. I'll do push-ups.
You'll do push-ups. You'll be forgiven. A phenomenal season. You've got the golden broomstick there for sweeping this thing start to finish. Just what was it like racing in this series overall?
Honestly, it was a great experience. I've raced in a couple of other private leagues and with some other people and stuff like that. And just the level of driving here, both in terms of skill level and also, probably more importantly, the level of respect that's shown to each other while we're on the track, is second to none as far as what I've seen. It's been a great experience. It's made for great racing, and it's made for great viewing, going back and watching these replays that you guys broadcast. And so it's been really a good time. Really good time.
Yeah, it certainly has. A fantastic series, amazing participants, amazing organizers, more importantly.
Yes.
Putting on a fantastic show for everybody, and a great event for people to take part in. What was it like racing at Sebring at night?
I hadn't practiced at night, and I really, really regret that, because it gets to a certain point where you kind of expect, I don't know, I got headlights and everything else, and then the only thing you're really seeing are these little reflective bits on the edges of the track to give you an idea as to where you are. And then, of course, you have the LMPs who are coming up behind you, and they're always closer than you think they are, and they're closing faster than you think they will. So it's a bit hair-raising.
I can imagine it is. And so, you know what? I'm going to ask each of you a question tonight, because I was going to actually ask what makes you think your branch of the military is the best. But we have an Army clean sweep tonight. All 3 podium positions taken by the Army. So instead, I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite branch of the Army, or should we say specialization?
Oh, goodness. Combat engineers, because we lead the way.
There we go. Combat engineers from Matt Smotherman, your race leader. So we'll go with that. We'll remember that one for the others in a moment. But anybody like to give a shout out to or thank before we let you go?
Honestly, to you guys, the great broadcasting that you've done, and as well as the entire Operation Motorsport crew for putting this on and assembling this entire organization. Because like I said, it's been a really tremendous experience. I'm really enjoyed it this season, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Awesome. Well, we hope to see you there. That is Matt Smotherman, your race winner tonight at Sebring, and your beneficiary class champion this season. Next up, we have got, I believe, Mr. Poppenhaus with Ray Richer.
Mr. Adam Poppenhaus, great run tonight in the B class, obviously top of your class tonight. And first time here for myself, and of course in these cars. How was it coming up through the field? Again, keep in mind you're talking to a stock car guy, an oval guy. Kind of describe a little bit how your race went tonight, obviously, and how you got around the other cars and let obviously the prototypes go by, and still got a good race in and finished at the top of your class.
I didn't qualify as well as I wanted to, so I was trying to be really aggressive early. And man, I had a front row seat to some carnage in the first couple of laps there, and then had a nice battle going on, and some more mistakes happened. So I was able to bring it home. It was a heck of a run. It was exciting.
Now, as an oval guy myself, again, not being rude by any means, but do you kind of take it like a slower, faster type track here, in other words, on most of the road courses? Or is it something you just kind of pound along and the tires kind of make it the rest of the way where you can pull out as hard as you did, obviously, to the lead and kind of kept it all night long?
Just I was doing everything I can to stay in front of my teammate John Winker there. I wanted a little bragging. I was just trying to manage the tires, and then a bunch of fuel saving at the end there. I was just trying to keep 10 seconds the car behind me and bring it home safe. So nothing really special. I was just able to stay clean and put in a good run.
I appreciate that. Kind of a little bit of info and questions for myself, but obviously for the people too. Now, since you got top of your class and you have an opportunity with the mic, who would you like to thank tonight, man?
Definitely congrats to Matt Smotherman for the sweep. And then also my teammate John Winker, I believe he finished second overall in points. So that's huge for Resilience Racing and Operation Motorsports. So it's been a great partnership. This has been another incredible season, and the only thing that's been better than the racing this year is probably the streaming. So thanks very much to Opmo, RECARO, everybody at doing the streams and the USL. So Podium TV. Appreciate it. This has been awesome.
We appreciate you too. Adam Poppenhaus right now. Ferrari there, obviously top of the class tonight, and finishing in his GT3 class.
Well, last but not least, we have John Winker, who did come home second overall in points. So congratulations there, John. And third place on the podium tonight. A fantastic run by you. How was your race tonight?
It wasn't too bad. I actually had quite a bit of open track, and if I could have just had a little bit more pace, I would have been able to do a little better.
Certainly a tricky place and tricky conditions, of course. And I don't think we got a chance to ask Adam this, but of course, Army clean sweep tonight on the podium. Which is the best specialization in the Army?
Infantry, of course.
There we go. We'll have to find out later who Adams was choice-wise there. Of course, they're all picking their own, obviously.
Well, there is only two branches in the Army. There's the infantry, and then those who support the infantry. So.
And then there's the best of all of them, Army Medical.
See.
Either way, anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
Definitely I'd like to give a shout out to Operation Motorsport for putting these on, and you guys doing the broadcast. They've been fantastic. Definitely would like to thank the others on the Resilience Racing team, and then Skip Barber Racing School and Redline Synthetic Oil.
Well, fantastic. Thanks for joining us. John Winker coming home today, third on the podium and second in the points. Congratulations. Well, folks, whether it's on the track or iRacing, RECARO Automotive is all about making the driving safer, more comfortable, and more controlled. A driving experience that you can really feel. RECARO Automotive puts people first every time. An ergonomic sitting position means a comfortable position, and with perfect seat contours and innovative features to support your body, RECARO Automotive makes driving fun, being on the road or the racetrack. RECARO Automotive performance seats are more than just a set of components. They exude innovation, quality, and premium materials, craftsmanship, and a genuine passion for cars. For more information, visit our website at www.recaro-automotive.com. RECARO Automotive is proud to support Operation E Motorsports iRacing. Don't forget, Operation Motorsport is a veteran-led and operated not-for-profit based in Brighton, Ontario, and Raleigh, North Carolina. Serving Canadian and American service members and the veterans, of course, veterans of those branches. It was founded on the basis of three simple words: excite, engage, and empower. The premise is to engage ill and injured service members and veterans affected by military service through motorsport activities to aid in their recovery and rehabilitation. To find out more information, please visit operationmotorsport.org. Well, thank you to the series partners of Operation E-Motorsport iRacing League, especially tonight the Sebring International Raceway, RECARO Automotive, iRacing the USO, and Mobile One. For Jason Leach, Diesel Loader, Chris Ramirez, and the entire Operation Motorsport team, for Ryan Bauer, Gary Sexton, John Theodore at Podium Esports, and our producer Ryan Bauer, camera builder Dougie Beard, Cameron Obernon on social media, and for my colleague this evening, Ray Richer, I'm your host, Rachel Wyford. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of the Operation E Motorsport iRacing Winter League, powered by RECARO. Good night.